Hey, read through the word. Today is August 27th, almost the end of August, and today's lesson is called Lament. And excuse me, I'm going to yawn. I was about to tell you I was about to yawn. I was just telling Linda before I came on here that my schedule at school, or my age, I don't know. I'm not, it's time to get going with school. I need to and I'm ready to go to bed when I get home from school. So, if I yawn, I'm sorry. No offense to you. It's just 4:30 this morning was a really long time ago, it feels like. This is, let me explain this. My students asked me, Ms. Nance, you got your summer clothes on? I said, it's sort of like hoping this is the last time I get to wear it and that fall will come to North Carolina, because it is so hot and humid that our students at my school are not allowed to practice their sports outside because the humidity and the heat index is so high. And so every day they would get halfway through the day, we get an email that everything gets canceled. There's something about the temperature and the humidity out on the field that, according to sports rules for our conference or our state, we're not allowed to do such. So we had also all of our soccer teams and cross country and everything is. So I'm ready for fall. And fall's my favorite. I love fall. I was the pumpkin girl before anybody else liked pumpkin. And I think it's because I have an October birthday. I love fall. So that's why I have my summer and my seashell earrings. So let's get started with our lesson, Lament. Now, a couple of years ago, I did Lamentations 3, 22 and 23 when I had this day. Today, I'm going to do an overview of the book of Lamentations because it is right now in my heart. And I'll tell this story. It's so needed. The book of Lamentations is a very necessary book for me to be in, and I would say that many of you as well. So, the verse I'm going from is Lamentations 2:1. It says this: "The Lord in his anger has cast a dark shadow over beautiful Jerusalem. The fairest of Israel's cities lies in the dust, thrown down from the heights of heaven. In his day of great anger, the Lord has shown no mercy even to his temple." Okay, so we are at the point of, this is where we'd love to have the whiteboard and a map and some markers, and I'd mark it all up and we'd discuss it. But here we are with the city of Jerusalem is under siege by the Babylonians, and this is the year 586 BC. Remember, that's one of the two dates I said. Okay, I'm not going to make you draw me a timeline of, now if we were in the classroom I probably would. But I said, it's always great to remember 722 and 586. 722 BC, Assyrians, 586 BC, the Babylonians. So Israel, Judah. Judah is being destroyed. God had sent prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet to urge his people. Remember the message of every prophet: repent. Repent. To repent and return to him. We're not done with prophets. We're going to hear some more. We're in the major prophets right now, and we've heard some of the minor prophets. We will be hearing from more of them as we go into exile and out of exile. Well, really, return from exile is when we start hearing that. Okay, so they did not listen. God's people did not listen. They did not repent. They did not return to him. And so God uses a pagan nation. God uses a pagan nation. Habakkuk speaks strongly of this. Y'all know I love some Habakkuk. Habakkuk speaks strongly about this. God uses a pagan nation to discipline his people and to take them into exile for 70 years. So all of this is about, the clock has started now. So Jeremiah, who has been the prophet, who has been saying for all of these years that this day is coming and this time is coming, witnesses. He sees it all happen. And then he writes a lament. A lament is, here's our definition of a lament. Thus the name Lamentations. A passionate expression of grief or sorrow. I say it's both in the book. It's written, so what we need to understand about the structure. So it is a lament. It is a writing about grief or sorrow. It's really, now it's considered one of the books of major prophecy. It's a major because of where it is, and I don't have time to go into all of that. But when you say, so with my students, when I say what are the major prophets, they'll say Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel. 5 major prophets. But it is written in Hebrew poetic form. Now, we should be used to acrostic. You see acrostic in Proverbs. You see acrostic in Psalms. You see acrostic in many places in the Bible. But an acrostic is a Hebrew form of poetry. Now, if we spoke Hebrew, we would see some more word play. And Hebrew poetry works off of ideas. We talked about this when we were in Proverbs. Than rhyme scheme. So it is really written in prose with wordplay. So we don't really see the word thing reading it as it was then from an English translation. So what happens is each chapter begins with, so the first one begins with the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The next one begins with the next letter. So it goes like that. So it's an acrostic with the Hebrew alphabet, and moves forward. So what we see is, as Jeremiah witnesses the very destruction and judgment, he prophesied the things he said would happen. He watches happen. He sees it. This once, and what we read today, that verse we read today, the once beautiful and glorious and prosperous city. Think about in the time of Solomon, what that city would have been like. Beautiful. It was the city of God. Had his house there. The temple is now destroyed because of idolatry. And Jeremiah, throughout the book, is filled with grief. He's filled with sorrow, and he pours it all out. Yet, he is not without hope. Now, that's what Lamentations 3, 22 and 23 discusses. But I want to see that he sees that, yes, the city is destroyed. Yes, God's people are going into exile. But God's made promises that he will restore, he will redeem, he will do all of these things. So he realizes his hope is not in this world, the things of the world, or the things that are going on around him. That's not his hope. His hope is that God remains faithful to his promises even when his people are not faithful. That's amazing. In a world that lacks hope and can quickly get us off task, we need Lamentations. I'm going to tell you about 2 things that have happened to me recently. One was 2 days ago and one was today. I had to go, so y'all know I live on the outskirts of a large city. I had to go I'm sounding like the country girl. I had to go into the big city for something this past weekend. We have a light rail system here, public transportation. I took that in because I could drive to that and then take that in and not have to find parking downtown and pay $20 an hour to park and all of that. Pay $4, ride in, ride out, and get gone. So I did that. I don't. Since we moved out of the city, I am not in the city a lot. I'm the country mouse. I felt like country mouse big time. But I had to go down to a conference I was going to. And while I was there, so I went into the conference, went so early in the morning, I was the only person on public transportation. When I came out, not so much. As far as the streets were filled. There was a big event going on downtown, and there were people everywhere. And the hopelessness on faces really struck me. Everyone looked full of despair. And I was like, what? I mean, like, it hit me hard. It hit me hard. And I thought, I started thinking about what we do here at Read Through the Word, about building up people with hope to then share with a lost and dying world. And what I do with my students in preparing them for life and godliness through a biblical worldview. And how we have that hope, the hope that the world desperately needs. And it just hit me hard watching faces. I always say you can tell the look of people. I call it dead in the eyes. Behind the eyes, there's no joy there. And so that really, really made me sorrowful. And was like, it was sort of very depressing about this is where we are. Okay, next. I had a friend of mine who I was talking to, and we have a mutual friend that's going through something really, really hard right now. And my friend said to me, this is so much, it makes me not want my kids to have kids. She said, I don't want my kids. I don't want my grandkids to have kids. I don't, because this world is so hopeless. But she then quickly said, but I know that's not true. That's not true. Because we know that God will restore all things. We know the Messiah, Jesus, redeems it all. There is a plan. He is at work. But that hopelessness that I feel when I'm confronted with friends going through really, really hard stuff, and the world looking full of despair and hate, and it's so much. But Jeremiah was going through the same thing. And out of that, he writes Lamentations. So Lamentations is the book we grab when we feel that, because we will be led quickly back to, oh, great is his faithfulness. His mercies are new to us each day. Great is his faithfulness. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.